Mia Harper had sworn off rich men the day her ex-fiancé traded her for a trust fund influencer with a better zip code. So when the matte black Rolls-Royce Phantom purred to the curb outside the little Soho gallery where she worked, she told herself she was only looking. The back door opened before the driver could move, and a man unfolded himself from the leather cocoon like he owned gravity. Tall, dark-haired, wearing a charcoal suit that cost more than her annual salary and the kind of quiet danger that made women forget their own names. He didn't smile, not exactly. He just looked at her the way men look at art they've already decided to buy. Miss Harper. His voice was low, expensive, amused. I'm told you're the only person in New York who can find the 1978 Basquiat I've been chasing. Mia lifted her chin. I'm told you're the only person in New York reckless enough to pay what it's worth. The corner of his mouth twitched. Reckless is my love language. Get in. We'll talk over dinner. She should have said no. Instead she heard herself answer, I get out at 9. I'll be here at 9:01. He was there at 8:58. The rolls smelled like cedar and something darker, something that made her pulse stumble. His name, he told her as the car ghosted uptown, was Luca Valenti. 34. Private equity. A penthouse on Billionaire's Row address he mentioned once and never again. He didn't brag, he simply existed in a stratum where bragging was unnecessary. At the restaurant, somewhere 43 floors above the city, no sign on the door, no menu, he watched her like she was the only thing on the planet worth studying. He asked questions that should have felt invasive but somehow felt like oxygen. Where did she grow up? A Rust Belt town that no longer appeared on most maps. What scared her? Being invisible. What did she want that money couldn't buy? She laughed at that one and said, time that feels like it belongs to me. He leaned forward. I can give you that. By the time the plates were cleared she was dizzy on Barolo and the way he said her name, like a promise and a threat at once. Day one ended with his mouth on hers in the private elevator, her back against mirrored walls, his hand under her skirt like he'd already memorized the map of her. She went home at 3 a.m. with swollen lips and the echo of his voice, tomorrow, pack a bag. Day 2 she called in sick, the first time in 6 years, and found the rolls waiting at her Brooklyn walk up at dawn. Luca didn't ask if she was sure, he simply opened the door. They flew to Telluride on a jet that belonged to no airline she'd ever heard of. The house was all glass and timber, perched on a cliff like it had grown there. Snow fell in fat silent flakes while he cooked her steak on a salt block and fed her strawberries dipped in 1982 Chateau d'Yquem. They didn't sleep. He took her on the rug in front of the fireplace, then again in the outdoor hot tub with the Rockies watching, then slow and filthy against the bedroom window at dawn. When she finally passed out, his ringed pinky was tracing circles on her spine like he was memorizing her vertebrae. Day 3 he asked what she feared most about men like him. She told him the truth, that they collected beautiful things and then lost interest. He looked at her for a long time, snow piling on the deck behind him. Then I'll just have to ruin you for every other collector, he said. He spent the day proving it. A jeweler arrived by helicopter with a velvet tray of diamonds the size of nickels. Luca waved it away. Not yet. Instead he dressed her in one of his white shirts and nothing else and photographed her with an old Leica until she was trembling with want. That night he tied her wrists to the headboard with one of his Hermes ties and made her come so many times she forgot how to form sentences. Day 4 they flew to Miami because he said he wanted to see her skin against turquoise water. The yacht was obscene, 6 decks, a crew that appeared and vanished like well-trained ghosts. He fucked her on the bow while the crew pretended not to notice, then again in the glass-bottomed pool with the ocean sliding beneath them. At dinner he slid a black Amex across the table and told her to buy whatever she wanted in Bal Harbour the next day. She bought one thing, a faded concert t-shirt from a second-hand store, just to watch his face. He laughed, delighted, and bought the entire store so she could have the shirt for free. Day 5 they were back in New York, but not her New York. His driver took them to a townhouse in the village that looked like a normal brownstone from the street and opened into a private paradise, garden, lap pool, screening room, a bedroom with a bed the size of her old apartment. He cooked for her barefoot, wearing only gray sweatpants, and the kind of smile that should be illegal. Over pasta he told her about his childhood, Italian mother, American father, boarding schools, the first million at 22, the loneliness that money couldn't insulate. She told him about her mother's opioid funeral and student loans that felt like prison bars. When she cried, he licked the tears from her cheeks and told her she'd never cry over money again. That night he didn't let her come. He brought her to the edge again and again until she was sobbing, begging, promising him anything. Only then did he flip her over and take her so hard the headboard left dents in the wall. When she finally shattered, she heard him growl against her ear, "Mine." Day 6 he was gone before she woke, only a note on the pillow, "Wear the black dress." Car at 8. She found the dress laid out on the chaise, vintage Alaya, perfect fit, no tags. At 8 sharp the Rolls took her to the Met, closed to the public, lit only by candles. He waited at the top of the grand staircase in black tie, holding a single white orchid. They danced alone in the Temple of Dender to a string quartet playing Radiohead covers. He whispered things in her ear in Italian that made her knees buckle. When the music stopped he dropped to one knee right there on the ancient stone, pulled out a ring that caught every candle flame and threw it back like a supernova, and a sure-cut diamond so clean it looked wet, flanked by black diamonds like midnight. "Mia Harper," he said, voice rough, "I don't want to own you. I want to belong to you. Marry me. Let me spend the rest of my life proving I'm worthy of the privilege." She stared at him, chest heaving, mascara running, orchid crushed against her heart. 7 days. 1 week since she'd climbed into his blacked-out Rolls-Royce telling herself it was just curiosity. She looked at the ring, then at him, at the man who had dismantled every defense she'd spent 28 years building in less time than it took most people to choose a Netflix show. "Yes," she whispered. He slid the ring onto her finger like it had been waiting there since the beginning of time. It fit perfectly, heavy and cold and absolutely right. Later, much later, back in the townhouse with her new fiancé's mouth between her thighs and the city glittering 40 floors below, Mia Harper realized something that should have terrified her but somehow only made her come harder. She hadn't fallen in love with Luca Valenti. She'd collided with him. And the impact had rewritten gravity. 7 days. From the backseat of a stranger's Rolls-Royce to wearing his ring while he whispered forever against her skin. Some people wait a lifetime for a love like that. Mia got hers in a week. And she was never getting out of that car.